Okay, I'm back with part two of the entertainment roundup, discovering the last two stories of the day, as well as my own feeling of the NFL. Um, and without further ado, let's just get started. I might as well start on the actor Michael Clarke Duncan. As you guys well know by now, the Green Mile actor, Kung Fu Panda star, has died yesterday at the age of 54. He has suffered a heart attack in which he had never recovered. Uh, there's a very interesting article about him that I'm going to read briefly about, but I'm just going to give you my own feeling on the actor. My first, obviously, big major screen of him was the Green Mile, and his presence was unmistakably legendary when he came on screen. Just seeing him on screen was he was just massive, and my eyes just widened when I saw just how huge he was. I'm like, wow. Uh, yeah, that's one of a kind there. His acting, however, magnificent. The movie was great. Well deserving of an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. He went on to do other films, of course, Kung Fu Panda, as I just recently mentioned. He was the Kingpin in the Daredevil. He was also in other films like Street Fighter: Legend of Chong Li, as well as being in films such as Breakfast of Champions, Sin City, Talladega Nights, Brother Bear. He was in the movie. He was actually playing a film, early films and television credited. He was usually cast as a bodyguard or a bouncer. This film, Bullsworth, and The Players Club, he was in doing those roles. But pretty much in his 30s, he really catapulted into major stardom, and he became pretty much a screen name just by his name alone. When you hear his name, you know who he is, and you just really, even if the film wasn't that good, seeing his presence made the film better because you can tell by by the way he approached his character that he was enjoying himself, he was having fun. Like I said, Street Fighter: Legend of Chong Li. That's how much gripe I had with that movie, and believe me, I have a lot of gripe. I still enjoyed it, especially when he was on screen, because he was really the only true guy there that was really just saying, "The hell with it! I'm gonna enjoy myself. I'm gonna have fun." And anytime when you see an actor, it really just enjoy himself in that role. That's always a good thing, and he always enjoyed himself in playing those kind of roles, especially with the Kingpin. He just really, when I saw him in the film, when I heard he was cast as the Kingpin as in Daredevil, the first thing I said is, really? But then when I saw his poster and how he looked and how he just hammered up that character, I said, yeah, that's the Kingpin. There's no other doubt about it. That's the Kingpin. Even if you didn't like the film, there's no denying that he fit that role perfectly fine. I think, to be honest with you, he was probably the only one that could actually fit that role the way he did. But yeah, this is a tough loss for the movie industry. Very, very tough loss. I have followed this report, even though I didn't report on it. I have still followed this because it was like, wow, that's was something. Because a lot of stuff came out. He had a heart attack, and his recovery was very, very slow. He was still in the hospital trying to recover, and sadly, he passed away. In the hospital. And the first thing I was saying, wow, because the guy was due to be married. I think during this year, and now all that stuff is not going to happen. But Hollywood lost a good actor and a good friend. A lot of people had nothing but high praises. Bruce Willis. It was reported that Bruce Willis was the one who recommended him to play that part in the Green Mile. And I give thumbs up to Bruce Willis to that done that. Even Tom Hanks have reported earlier about the passing, how he was saddened to hear that. He enjoyed working with Michael Clarke Duncan when he was on the set of the Green Mile. So no question about it. He is somebody who's definitely going to be missed. A lot of people has been tweeting their sorrows. A lot of people has been talking about it. Hollywood has been talking about it. So this is it's a very sad day for Hollywood to lose someone like that. I'm gonna read a brief description of this. There's a long page on it. I'm gonna read a brief description to let you guys know what's going on. What was the official? But it says that Duncan died Monday morning at Sandra Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, where he was being treated for a heart attack. His fiance, a reality TV personality, I believe his name is, oh my god, his name is almost hard to pronounce. Olamarasa Man Managelt. I believe that's her name. In a statement released by the publicist, thank you, Amarosa Manigault. Okay, Amarosa Manigault. She is the fiance of Michael Clarke Duncan. She had made a statement by released by the publicist that day. The muscular 6'4" Duncan, a former bodyguard who turned acting in his 30s, suffered a meniscalation infection on July 13th and never fully recovered, the statement says. A myocardial, thank you. Uh, Metascott is grateful for all of your prayers and asks for privacy at this time. Celebration of his life, both prayers, both private and public, will be announced at a later date. So they haven't made any dates for the funeral arrangement yet. I think they're going to go through, the usual procedures like autopsies to actually make sure they confirm the death, even though it's pretty much obvious what has happened. He never fully recovered from the heart attack he had. Hollywood reacts to Duncan's passing was heartfelt, including from Green Mile Tom Hanks, who said in a statement, "I am terribly saddened at the loss of my Big Mike. He was a treasure, a well-discovered for the set of Green Miles. He was magic, he was big love of a man, and his passing leave us stunned." It also says here that in the spring of 2012, Duncan had appeared in a video for the PETA, the animal rights organization, in which he spoke of how much better he felt since becoming a vegetarian 3 years earlier. The report also said that Duncan had a handful of minor roles before the Green Mile brought him an Academy nomination for Best Supporting Actor in 1999. Film based on Stephen King's novel of the same name, starring Tom Hanks as a correction officer at a penitentiary in the 1930s. Duncan played John Caffey, a convicted murderer with a surprisingly gentle demeanor and extraordinary healing powers. Duncan performance caught on with critics and moviegoers, and he quickly became a favorite in Hollywood, appearing in several films a year. He owes some of his good fortune to Bruce Willis, who commended Duncan for the Green Mile after the two appeared together in Armageddon. Duncan, who would work with Willis again in Breakfast of Champions, a film which, by the way, not too many people heard of. I actually had the luxury of seeing that on video, and we'll probably do a flashback review in the near future on that movie. The Whole Nine Yards and Sin City. The article continued to go on and said that his industrial size built with stunt for everyone, from superhero films, Daredevil, to comedy, Teller Against Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby, that's what it is. The Schools for Scoundrels. He has gravely bunted along with good enough for several animation movies, including Kung Fu Panda, Delago, and Brother Bear. Amongst Duncan's television credit roles, he appeared in The Finders, Two and a Half Men, a stunt life, the stunt life of Zack and Cody. Born in Chicago in 1957, Duncan was raised by a single mother who resigned to his playing football led to his decision as to him deciding he wanted to become an actor. But when his mother became ill, he dropped out of college. I believe the college name was Alcorn State University, and worked as a dish. I believe that's what it's called, a Dutch digger, and a bouncer to support her. By his mid-20s, he was in Los Angeles, where he looked for acting parts and became a bodyguard for Bruce Willis, Jamie Foxx, and other stars. The murder rapper, the Notorious B.I.G., who Duncan had been hired to protect before switching assignments, led him to quit his job and pursue acting full-time. That part I did not know of. I did not know he was actually the bodyguard for Notorious B.I.G. at one point. Very interesting. In the early films and television credits, credits when he usually cast as a bodyguard and a bouncer include Beowulf and A Night at the Roxbury and The Players Club. And I read the whole article, so there you have it. His credibility is and resume is pretty much very, very impressive. And the fact he continued to pursue his dreams, and even though he started very at the midpoint of his youth, or near the midpoint of his youth, he still achieved that dream, still got what he wanted, and eventually it paid off for him. And kudos for him. He definitely deserves that. He worked very hard, paid his dues, and got recognized at the right time with the right role, with the right film. And again, when I heard of his death, it was around 9:30. I was actually typing some stuff on my computer. I had the radio on, and they made that announcement, and I was like, wow. We lost another great entertainer. This has been a tough year in the entertainment world. We lost a lot of people this year. Duncan, Phyllis Diller. Who else are we missing here? We lost Don Cornelius. Jake Clark is gone. Lost a lot of people. And, just go to show that, with all the star power, you're still human. And, I got nothing but good memories from him. From the movies he's played in, from the interviews I've seen, I got nothing but good memories from him. And again, he's definitely going to be missed. I don't know if this list hasn't said what his last film was. I know he was working on something, but it doesn't really say what it was. Hopefully, when you look on his resume form with the IMDb or on Wikipedia or the other movie database they have his stuff on, I'm pretty sure they will mention it. But this is one thing that, it's a stunner. Larger than life. We lost a very good guy. So my condolences come out to the family, his friends. I know Hollywood has already tweeted a lot about this, and just know that you will be missed, old friend. You will be missed. So pretty much I've said my thing. I wanted to get that down before I cut off. I still got one more topic I want to talk about because it's actually pretty interesting. And I will be talking about my own feeling of football. Because there's a lot of stuff I'm really, really going to be looking for, keeping an eye on, especially after the stuff that's been happening all off season. So I'm going to get my feelings on that. But I still got this article to do. I'm going to bring it up eventually. Here it is. I might as well say this now. I'm a big fan of Kelly Ripa. And it's not because of today's show. I'm sorry, live when she became part of the co-star with Regis Philbin. I have followed Kelly Ripa and All My Children. Yes, my mom forced me to watch All My Children when I was little. When it was off school day, that was her day to watch soaps, and believe me, she watched a lot of soaps. I became invested in soaps doing the late 80s, early 90s, 1989, and Kelly Ripa was joining the cast as a gothic girl with black hair. You also have Trevor Dillon. You also have Adam Chandler and Stewart. And I started following the storyline. It was a very interesting storyline. It was very crazy. Very interesting storyline, especially the one with Billy Clyde Tuggle. Yeah, I'm a geek on this. Sue me. But Kelly Ripa was always a character that I liked because she was always rebellious, and she played Haley Vaughn as that role. She was a rebellious teenager, and then over the years she has matured greatly. That character has matured and developed right up to the point where that character pretty much got written off. They didn't kill her off, but they have her left Pine Valley with a real life husband. And that was largely because she was actually doing the Regis and Kelly after Kathy Lee Griffith left the show. And she has been there ever since. Now, Regis Philbin has retired not too long ago, and she became solo. She did the show on her own, and she did it for quite a while. Now, a lot of people was hinting who was going to be Kelly Ripa's new co-host. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't think she needed one. I'm just going to keep it real. I thought that she was doing perfectly fine on her own. The ratings were strong. There was no drop in the rating at all. I think the ratings actually went up. And she was full of energy, full of life. And I actually didn't think she was going to get one for a while, because it was for a while. I know they went for auditions. And then the rumors came out that Michael Strahan, former New York Giants, was going to be her new co-host. And I was like, really? And I didn't know how to react to that, because I was like, can he actually pull this off? I mean, he definitely had the smile. He definitely had the charm. So I said, wow, that would be very interesting to see if that's actually true. Now, do I think it was actually true when I first heard of it? I didn't want to throw it out there and say, yeah, because keep in mind that was just rumors. But as the days went past, the more and more they was pushing it out there that look out for Strahan. He's the next co-host for Kelly. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, wow, it may actually happen, because they're not really talking about nobody else. And believe me, they had a lot of people doing guest hosts for Kelly Ripa. So I'm like, okay, maybe there is some truth to this. Maybe because they're not talking about nobody else. They're not hinting nobody else, and they kept openly, even though they said we'll make the announcement this week. We really didn't hear them say, okay, the announcement of Michael Strahan to be co-host for Kelly Ripa is going to be the official announcement. They just said we'll talk about it on this such date, and I'm like, okay. And yet, even though they didn't officially mention it, they kept saying Michael Strahan is the new host. Michael Strahan is the new host. I'm like, okay, he has to be the new host, because they're just throwing it out there. They're not even making any of the names out there. Well, yesterday it became official. Michael Strahan is indeed Kelly Ripa's new co-host. And he has gotten a very, very good reception. And from the chemistry that both of them seem to have, I think that Kelly Ripa is happy. I think she's delighted to work with Michael Strahan. And I'll be honest with you, I'm actually, congratulations. I don't know what to say, but congratulations. I want to see something. This is actually a brand new twist on live. I mean, it really is. And it's very, very wow. Because I never really thought of Michael Strahan being a host of a show like that. I really never really dawned on my mind of him having to do that some kind of stuff. I didn't think he actually wanted to do that kind of stuff, but obviously he does. And you know what? He's welcoming the situation. So, with that being said, I might as well talk about this. I might as well talk about it right now. Former football star Michael Strahan joined live with Kelly as a permanent co-host on Monday, fulfilling the jokingly prophecy he made to Regis Philbin more than 4 years ago. So basically, as a joke, it turned out to be reality. Oh man, the gap to why did I have to put that in there? The gap to former New York Giants jogged into the morning show set and picked up co-host Kelly Ripa in a bear hug, lifting her off her feet. He replaced Philbin, who left last November. Strahan was a survivor in a series of on-air tryouts for potential co-hosts since Philbin left, and his hiring has been open. It has been an open secret for the past 2 weeks. It's not a secret. You kept bringing it out that he was going to be the co-host. Open secret. I have an open secret. Well, whatever. Strahan appeared relaxed and amenable to the first day and drawed awe and from women in the studio audience. I bet he did. When he presented Ripa with a dozen roses. Right, you better make a first impression. This also goes on to say that it's so nice to have a co-host literally sweep you off your feet, Kelly said. And I know that he can bench press me if he wanted to. She is a petite woman, I tell you that. Kelly Ripa played a clip from Strahan's first appearance on the show in 2008, shortly after the Giants had won the Super Bowl. Philbin asked Strahan what he would want to do after retiring from football, and Strahan said that Philbin's job looks pretty good. Well, he got it now, so good luck, my friend. I wish you nothing but the best. I was joking, Strahan said on Tuesday, and I'm glad the joke came true. Philbin was the original live host for more than 28 years, with Ripa joining him in 2001. Strahan said Philbin set the benchmark. I am in awe of him, he said. Strahan is one of several new faces in daytime television this fall. Steve Harvey begins his new talk show today. Katie Couric, Ricky Lake, and Jeff, whoever that guy is, also has new shows starring in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, I heard about Steve Harvey. I also heard he's actually resigning too from comedy completely. So I wish him very luck. I wish I haven't seen him in stand-up in a few years, but that's a different story for another day. Let me get back on this. Strahan's currently a host of the Fox NFL Sunday tower over his co-host, who barely reached his shoulder when he stand next to each. We're supposed to be each other here, but it's actually there. When they sat next to each other, the seats are adjusted to minimize the difference. Before bringing Strahan out, Ripa joked about the lengthy search, advising people to stop sending her resume. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say on that category. Look, congratulations, Michael Strahan. I wish you the best on your new gig. I hope everything works out for both you and Kelly Ripa on this new duo. I do have one question, though, because I think people have seemed to forget one thing. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah, right there. He still hosts NFL Sunday. Will that be a conflict of interest between Fox and ABC? You saying no?
They work Monday through Friday. You can have Sunday off to go hang out with football buddies.
Yeah, that's true. But I know that a lot of stations, networks. I mean, there was only one person who actually worked with 3 networks at the same time, and that was Dick Clark, because he had 3 game shows at the same running at the same time.
He will give that up.
Huh?
He will give that up.
You think so? I'm very curious because, in case anybody know, I'm talking to the knowledge guy here right beside me. In case you don't hear him in the microphone, but that's something curious. I am curious about that. I'm very, very interested to see what they're planning to do, because I know I don't think Fox will have too much of a problem as long as it doesn't interfere with him doing that. But I just know that there's like heated competition with those companies, and that's something that they always have a problem with.
Well, it's called mixed marketing. At the end of the day, if he looks good on Ripa, it makes them look good when he's up there ratings will be shifted. So sometimes you have to mix market with other networks to
Uh,
create notoriety. And if one person can do it, then the more the better.
yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I don't want this to be like a, cause
Campaign.
like I said, I don't want something like this, like Fox, to become. And look, I don't think Fox would have probably said something already about it by now. So obviously they're not gonna have too much beef about it. I just think as long as he does his work with them, I don't think they have too much to say about it. But it does raise the question of, will Fox have some kind of beef with him working with a rival company?
And to clarify that, he doesn't work for Fox. He works for the NFL, which just has Fox
Yeah, but it,
countdown on Fox. See, he works for the NFL. Him, Mike Dickma, Keyshawn Johnson, um, Cunningham, former Vikings, Minnesota Vikings. No, Cunningham. Chris Carter, former Minnesota Vikings.
okay.
Um, and they work for the NFL. The NFL got a contract with Fox, which they don't have nothing to worry about. As far as him and Ripper, they work for the network because the advertising money comes from the network.
All right, so you say that because of the NFL, there may not be much of a big deal because it's not much. He's working for the Fox company, but the NFL company who happens to have their product on Fox.
Yes, he's not signed to Def Jams and Universal. He has his own independence, which is the NFL, and he's labeled with Ripper now.
All right, well, that's gonna be interesting. Like I said, I'm hoping that doesn't. I really do, because like I said, nothing has been said about it. So I'm hopefully that stays that way because I don't want to hear all of a sudden that Fox saying, oh no, he can't do this. He's working for us. But like I said, if they're not gonna say anything about it, and as long as it doesn't interfere with his work, then you know what? God bless him. I really do. I wish nothing but the best. You know, I really do. I will leave a link. And guys, if you heard my friend up with what you're saying, is that my friend brought up a very good point that it's not as much as Fox he's working for, but most of the NFL he has to report to them. Those are the people he truly works for, and that Fox is only the carrier for the NFL, and that he's like a pretty much an independent like an independent contractor. He works for them, but he's actually signed on with NBC to host with Kelly Whipper on live. If that's the case, and there is no confidence of schedule, confident interest, and by all means, I'll be grateful. You know, as long as that's not going to be happening.
He wouldn't be on a talk show on Fox and NBC.
Well, that was always something I caught in there, and so you guys leave your comments on it. I'm pretty sure it's not that big of a deal, but it did caught my attention that I was actually kind of surprised. I would think that once he's on there, whatever connection he had with any NFL, not on a major level, but in a small level, you know, will be pretty much, you know, shrunk in half. But if it's not, if what you say is true, which I pretty much think it is, then I probably wouldn't have a problem with that. But again, knowing Fox, it wouldn't surprise me anyway. I'm hoping that everything goes cleanly. But at least it gives us a chance to talk about something. The last thing I want to talk about is the NFL. This has been a crazy, crazy week. Not just for the NFL, but football in general. We had the scandal with Penn State, which is going to hurt Penn State a lot. It's going to hurt them a lot. I mean, they may never recover from it. That's how bad that situation has gotten. And they really punished them. A lot of people still debating on whether the punishment was justified or they're basically punishing everybody else who has nothing to do with that. A lot of stuff has been tarnished between the coach all the way down to the administrative staff. So let's face it, I'm more upset with them than I am with the players because they chose to try and they chose their reputation over what was wrong, what was supposed to be right, and that was reporting a serious crime to the police. And because of what these clowns have done, everybody from the school, sporting athletic committee, all the way down to the players at Penn State pays for it. And to me, it's very unfair that people who went to Penn State, who had nothing to do with what happened, is feeling the effects of a couple of idiots. Unfortunately, they, the college committee cannot let this go unscathed. They have to send a message, and sadly, this is the message they are sending. Again, I'm not. I wish that it was. I wish it was more on the higher ups. Let them than it is for the players, those kids who are going out there who's just trying to have a good time, and it's just it's very very sad. But like I said, the NCAA football division would have probably when they would have been hit more if they have not done nothing.
I
And
will appeal that decision.
well, if they do, are they appealing that decision?
It's double jeopardy. You have one man dead, which he's not accused of nothing, but knowing, possibly knowing of a situation and not reporting it.
Uh huh.
Okay, that should not be a punishment towards the student athletes. And then you have one man who's in prison and who's going to spend the rest of his life in imprisonment for the crime.
But like I said, this thing it goes way beyond that. Like I said, when I hear scandals like this, okay, and I will get to the football for a minute, but I want to touch on this for a minute because the same thing happened with an NFL player, and this is why scandals like this it doesn't help no one because eventually it's going to come out, and eventually it's going to make things a lot worse than what they originally have. Have they just gone to the police like they're supposed to do, and let the police handle it? I guarantee you nobody's going to, say, oh, what Penn State's doing. Now, they're going to praise Penn State for taking the necessary actions that they needed to take. Instead, they panicked. They went to red tape, and they just got lost right into the red tape. They knew what was happening, and instead of just doing what they're supposed to do, all it takes is a phone
The
call.
president resigned?
I believe a lot of people resigned.
I believe
But
the
but
president resigned, Paterno's dead, Sandusky's in prison. Everybody in that office is brand new. The coach had the coach ain't know nothing about it. He just came to be assistant coach, and now he's taking over as head coach.
uh-huh.
And he knew nothing about it. This is all new development to him.
And
Mhm.
like I said, it's very 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 difficult, especially when it comes to this thing coming to the right punishment. Because either way, if the NCAA did not take actions, like I said, they will be looked upon as how can you let this go by? And keep in mind, there's been scandals like this before in the past, and they've been accused of favoritism in terms of athletes and administrative staff in favor of making a buck. That has been on record. There's been nightmare stories about this. There was just no way they were not going to respond. I would have been stunned if they wouldn't respond. This doesn't surprise me, but one can feel that who are they really punishing right now? Because like I said, all the guys who are responsible are no longer there. All of them have stepped down. So who are they really punishing? And it does raise the question of is the punishment they are doing really justified? If they want to take away Paterno's record, I have no problem with that. If they want to relinquish the titles that they won, I have no problem with that. But going beyond that, keeping them away from bowls and basically to the point where they can't even compete, that's a different story. Now you're really hitting the newer players who may not, who has nothing to do with this, who's just there to work their way into the ranks of football, possibly get drafted, have a good time, and I'm like, really? I mean, is that really the message you want to send? To everyone, especially who had nothing to do with it. That's the thing I'm a little bit not really feeling right now. Maybe people out there, you guys can comment on that. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about it. But I felt a little bit that If you want to really want to punish someone, punish the guys. Make sure they never go anywhere near football again, both in the college level and NFL again. You really want to impress me. Investigate the people. Find out exactly why they felt that it was best to keep things under wraps. Um, if there are any more further criminal charges that was played in their favor, charge those people and send a message that this kind of cover-up will not be accepted anywhere in any of the college level, whether football, basketball, anywhere, period. And that's the best way I thought they could have done it, not punishing a bunch of kids who had nothing to do with this at all. That's just my own feeling on that. Which leads me to a guy who I don't feel sorry for, mainly because he knew what he was doing. The staff knew what he was doing, and they done nothing to speak up and to stop that. And when it comes to people's injuries and safety, I'm not surprised. I'm stunned that he only got banned for a year. I'm stunned he's still going to have a job when he gets back, and that was the coach from New Orleans. I am not knocking the decision that the NFL made. They literally set up to hurt athletes on purpose. There is no doubt about it. They have the evidence. He even came forward and confessed to this. And to me, he deserved to be banned for more than a year. Because you cannot go by that practice. You cannot make a kind of system like that and expect no one's not going to complain about it. You know, you're basically targeting players, trying to take them out of the game. Not only take them out of the game, but basically end their career. And a lot of people are saying it's not fair what they did to New Orleans, but I'm like looking at this, hey, those guys are lucky they have a job coming back. I would not even permit them to go back after that. Because if you're a coach that's going to implement that kind of practice, God knows what else can you implement. And to me, that's something you don't have. Football is already a very dangerous physical sport as it is. Look, I think the lifespan for certain of those players is like 4 years, 5 years tops as a career football player. And to practice that kind of thing just for the sake of winning is something I just cannot accept.
I believe Roger Goodell looks at it like this. As far as a brand, you have to take care of the loose ends and move on as a league. And I feel like giving him that year's suspension lets fans, and it complements both sides. You know, you got the people that's for Sean Payton, and you got the people that's against Sean Payton. It is bad for business if we don't recognize the fans' point of view. And so we want to meet each fan halfway. Those fans who feel like, hey, he's trying to hurt our players, okay, we're going to suspend them for a year. And those fans who feel like, hey, that's our coach, man. Big deal. It's football. You're supposed to get hit. We got to respect their wishes, too. They're ticket holders. At the end of the day, all the decisions made within the football is based on selling tickets, making sure the fans get what they paid for, and nothing illegal was done to compromise the tradition of football.
In your own opinion about this, it's very interesting that you brought it up. Do you think that the punish to the NFL was justified?
Yes, it was justified. You got caught. You confessed to your actions and your role that you played in sending out the bounty, and you paid the repercussions for it. A year, yes. The fine, yes. And next year being a better year. I feel like what Belichick did was a worse crime than what Peyton did. You know, he just wanted his players to be extra aggressive, hit hard. Maybe he sent the wrong message, but I don't feel like he sent a threatening message. I don't feel like his goal was to go, oh, you see Eli Manning, break his legs. No, his goal was to say, hey, make him hurt. Make him feel pain. Hit him. Every chance you get, I want you to knock him down. That was his message. And it could have been said the wrong way. It could have been said amongst the team. And, you know, it got wind of it. Roger Goodell got wind of it. The league got wind of it. Investigation was took place after that, and they were found guilty. Belichick, he compromised the sport of football. He was taking playbooks. He was cheating. He had recordings of play callings from all teams, and that's a advantage, an unfair advantage for any coach. That's not honoring the sport of, you know what, is a team game. Let's go out there and give it our all. That's teaching the young ones, the fans, and the next generation to, hey, if you can make it by cheating, do whatever you can. Next thing you know, we're going to have doping in the football league.
Well, one thing I'll tell you this, because it sounds like, and this you ain't the only one that brought up Bill Belichick. A lot of people have made that comparison. How come Bill Belichick get a free pass, but the people from New Orleans do not? Well, I don't know if they actually got a free. I think they were fined. I don't think he was suspended, but I think he was fined. And I believe it was the Jets. I believe it was the Jets or the Giants. They was
The Jets caught him. The Jets caught him. But he's done it to several teams like the Steelers. He did it in the playoffs against the Ravens. And everything, it was already his assistant coach, I believe, that retired was the one who made this known. Like, he went public about it and said, yeah, this is what, and Belichick confessed to it. Now, as far as the fines, it's immeasurable, because what Roger Goodell is doing is actually protecting the business itself, which is the players. The players unions, the NFL, players union, they're not going to tolerate that. They speak for 31 other teams, and they're going to punish you if you jeopardize the business, part of the sport, which is the players. Without players, we can't get paid for doing what we do. There's no union. So therefore, the harshest punishment is gonna come when it deals with anything that manipulates the player, or player manipulation, like doping.
And I think that's one of the main reasons why Bill Belichick didn't get a harsh punishment, because say what you will, yeah, he got caught cheating and he got fined, but his court taking plays and stealing plays did not result in people getting severely hurt. Where you had the New Orleans Saints actually organizing brutal hits that could have had the potential of permanently injuring a player, or basically picking them out for the entire season. And that's, I think, to them, is more severe than what Bill Belichick have done. Now, a lot of people have debated it's the same, but when you come with people's personal health, you really can't really compare the two, because one, you're dealing with someone's physical well-being, but versus the other one, you're just trying to steal a play here and there. Again, I'm not justifying Bill Belichick at all. He got caught. He deserved to get punished. I thought he should have been more harshly punished. But like I said, when it comes to what the staff members at New Orleans, and I want to make this very clear, it wasn't the owner. The owner was so shocked as well, and he's not a very happy man that he has to go with half of his staff members not coaching the team. So let's get that clear. It's not the owner who made that. That just came from the coaching staff from there. It didn't came from the owners above. So I want to make that very clear, that it's not.
As well as pay for something he didn't have no involvement in.
Exactly. So I just want to make that very clear. So don't think I'm blaming the owner. The owner is just as upset about this as anything else. And for a team that's very loved in New Orleans, for that to happen, it is definitely a crushing blow. How would this affect him in the regular season? It's going to affect him a lot. I mean, in terms of play-by-plays, how the plays going to be made. Because keep in mind, the new coach is not Peyton. He's not. So the only thing I can say is, can Drew Brees keep this team together? Can he perform despite the situation? And can he rise to the occasion? Because many people still believe that there's still contention. I don't know. I can't really psychologically, I don't know how it's going to affect the team. I really don't. But it can't be in a good way. I do know that for a fact. It's not a very, very good way. This is something they did not need. So
If they go 4-2 without him for them 6 games, then they well in contention. He'll be back. He'll be back. He'll play 10 regular season games, and that's all you need to make the playoffs.
well, I do know one thing. It's going to be a very interesting football season. My team, of course, the Jets. I don't want to say they're done. I don't count preseason football. Preseason football is just that, just a warm-up, trials for a lot of people, warm-ups for others. But to me, they haven't made much improvements. I'll say it just like everybody else has been saying it, from other people who have kept close eyes to the sport to WFAN, Mike Francesa. They got Tebow, and I'm scratching my head. I can't say how bad the guy is or how good the guy is. Let me see how he plays first before I say anything else. I didn't get good vibes from a lot of people. But make no mistake about it, this was for the press. They just wanted to be on the press, especially after what happened when they didn't make the playoff and the Giants, with a 9-7 record, not only made the playoffs, but won the whole damn thing. That did not look good for the Jets. And I said in my previous video when I congratulated the Giants, that hey, the Jets needed to learn from what the Giants have done. They did it professionally. They kept their head together. They didn't get into any stupid conflict or any antics, and they should really learn to balance their team. Say what you want about Rex Ryan. I think he's okay, but he's not the greatest offensive coach in the world, and that is something that he needs to improve. I was happy they signed Sanchez again. I thought that was a good move, even though they've tried desperately to get Peyton Manning. Not Peyton Manning. What the hell am I talking about? Yeah, Peyton Manning. He went to Denver, so they signed Sanchez to a 3-year deal. I said that was great. He's already a proven winner. He can only get better if they give him the right tools to work with. He's proven that he can win on a tough situation. We went to 2 AFC championships, and despite the setback he had last year, I thought he still can deliver. And I thought they've given the right team, work around him, built on his strength, work on his weaknesses. We could be in contention not only for this year, but for the years to come. And then they did something that I just basically shook my head, and I'm just like, no, they didn't get him. This is a joke. They got Tebow. I'm like, really? Why are we getting Tebow? What was the reason? And I'm still flabbergasted about it. And the first thing everybody said, well, he's a nice guy.
Nice guy games.
I'm like, what? I mean, are you serious? So, yeah, that's the situation. And to me, I don't see them making too much improvements. Are they going to be there in the end? It all depends. I think they need to win 10 games. I think the most they have to do is win 10 games, and that's largely because New England is still going to be the team to beat in the East. All right, I'm not worried about Miami. Not really concerned about Miami, not one bit. Buffalo, I'm a whole past judgment for now, but I still think that's New England's division to win. I'm sorry to say it. And the Jets, to them to make the playoffs, they have to win 10 games. They don't win 10 games, and they get off to a stupid start and they get into too many altercations like they did off season. I don't see it. I don't see them making the playoffs.
Anyone in the AFC has a chance to make the playoffs. The NFC is the toughest division this year, and that means there's going to be a lot of losses. And the losses is going to be on the AFC side. So if the Jets can pull off 10 games, they are playoff contenders.
Exactly. I think they could. I think that's the only way I can see it. They can't. To me, they can't be in there 97. They can't. They have to win 10 games. All right, 9-7. You're basically putting a risk of a wild card, which you ain't guaranteed to get because there's a lot of teams that are tough, and they're not one of those teams that can actually be a surprisingly wild card contender. They have to win these 10 games to assure themselves that they'll have a chance to be in the playoffs because it's gonna be a lot of competition. And believe me, The competition is going to come hard. To me, I said this before. I think Pittsburgh is the team to beat. My team that I'm going to be looking at also, I'm looking at Cincinnati. I am unsure of the West. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not really feeling the West. Don't like Oakland too much. But then again, until they prove to me that they can be both a defensive team as a well defensive team as well as an offensive team, I have no confidence in them. Denver, I'm going to do a toss-up. Just because Peyton Manning is there doesn't guarantee they're going to make the playoffs. He's still coming fresh of an injury. He hasn't really played a full season. This will be the first time he's coming back. Not to say he don't have it, but we'll see. We'll see how he works with the team he has now. To me, it's going to be like the same thing of the Jets. Let me see him win 10 games, then we can talk. But I don't seem to me going all the way. I don't think so.
Fantasy pick, Denver defense. Denver defense. They was there last year, and they have Peyton Manning as a motivator. It's only going to get better.
Despite the injury?
Despite the injury.
All right, we'll still see.
They held teams to an average of 12 points last year. With Peyton Manning, you can ask for nothing more. He's coming into a spotlight, and I've seen a couple stats of him this preseason. He's a football player.
He's a proven winner. I'll say that.
The injury is just politics. It's just a storyline, and he's been out. He was injured. How big of a deal is it? We'll see week 1.
Well, like I said, if all I know is, will they protect him? Will they give him the protection he needs? Because in the comfort zone, he definitely needs to perform this season. That's the one thing I'm wondering.
They protected Tebow for 18 weeks.
Well,
they beat the Steelers with that same offensive line. And it went into overtime, a 13-10 win. A 16-10 win, striped by Tebow in overtime. So if they can hold the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, to 10 points, imagine with how much they're going to score with a scoring threat like Peyton Manning throwing the ball. The wide receivers right now are jumping for joy. They feel like this man is going to rise their stock. And that's exactly what the atmosphere in Denver is right now, is that we just had the Savior come down to us, and we're going to do everything possible to get past the first round of the playoffs. That's their goal. Denver's goal is to get past the first round of the playoffs, get into the second round, and win that. And they're thinking about Super Bowl.
Well, we'll see. This will be very interesting football. Giants. You know what's funny with the Giants? I think this is a team. They won in their history, I believe, 4 Super Bowl rings. And for some reason, they never repeated in any of their 4 championships. They never repeated or came close to going back to the Super Bowl. And I'm kind of curious if that jinx is going to happen again this year. My prediction said they're going to be a competitor. Them and Dallas are going to be fighting neck and neck.
How many rings do Buffalo got?
Well, that's not even funny, man. No, come on, man. There are people right now still suffering from those losses.
We talking about repeat. We got teams with no rings, no trophy.
That's true. Although you gotta admit that they came very close, and so that field goal kick didn't didn't connect.
Wide.
But like I said, the Giants, they're going to be competing. I see them winning 11 games for some reason. And I also see the Cowboys right there behind them. I seriously doubt that they're gonna fade away. The team I'm concerned about, because I am curious, because I don't think people talk about them too much. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm very curious on how much they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Because you got to believe they're going to be a force to be reckoned in the AFC East. The NFC East, I'm sorry. You got to believe they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Who is your wild cards in the NFC? Who are your wild cards?
Wild card. Wow, that's a good question. Let me see. I think San Fran will be back as the West. I don't think there's no wild card going to be in the West. I think San Fran's going to be back unless Arizona do something that shocks me. I don't think that I'm not going to see too much out of the West. So I do see San Fran improving. They're definitely going to be more hungry than ever. So I wouldn't fall asleep on them.
My wild card. Washington Redskins.
Really?
Yes.
Better than Dallas?
Yes.
Better than Philly?
Yes.
I don't know. I'll give them Philly, but I don't see them.
Philly's old, and Romo is a failure. Sorry to be so harsh on him.
Hey, Dallas, I didn't say that.
He's not competitive. I believe that RG3 is way competitive, much more competitive than Tony Romo, and when they match up, RG3 is going to get the best of him.
Well, we'll see. I don't have much confidence in Washington right now. I still think it's going to be pretty much a tough toss-up. I think Giants will win the East. I think Washington will win the West. The North. Wow, the North. I don't, at the top of my mind, I don't have too much confidence in the North. I don't know what it is about the North I'm not feeling. A lot of people will say Carolina improved, but improvement is only, that's it. I have to say Detroit's going to step it up. I think Detroit will step it up.
8 teams?
Hmm?
8 teams, right?
6 will make the 6. I say Detroit, but I think Chicago is definitely going to be competing at least by much. They're going to be somebody's going to hang in there. Whether or not they make the playoffs is still. Well, you don't think Chicago's going to improve?
No. I'm sorry. They're not a complete team. And Jay Cutler is an exceptional quarterback. And what I mean by exceptional is meaning he's good enough. Not exceptional as extraordinary. Exceptional meaning he's good enough. But he has failed time and time again, and that's why Denver did the right thing at the right time. Knowing their team was going backwards, they released him, had a mediocre season, got Tim Tebow, and was able to dish him in the deal for a future Hall of Famer and Peyton Manning. But Jay Cutler, he's in a class with Tony Romo. He's in a class with, and don't get me wrong, his stats are good, but the quarterback for the San Diego Chargers, that class, them guys right there, they fail time and time again.
All right. So who are your strengths in the North? Out of all the 4 teams in the North, who do you think is? Give me all 4 of them. Tell me what you think.
You would have to refresh in my memory. The North, I don't follow them.
Oh my God! Chicago, Detroit. I don't think Chicago, Detroit. Wow, I don't even follow.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, the Buckeyes. I can't get that last team out of my head.
I already have.
I can't get that last team out of my head. That's how
I already have the Lions in the playoffs, so they are my North pick.
So you don't perceive. So what about the South?
I have the Falcons.
Falcons in the West.
They're in the West?
Yep.
NFC West?
Yep. Falcons are in the West.
Okay.
And I don't see them going any further. I'm just want to throw it out there right now.
Yeah, I got to get my divisions right because I just know NFC as NFC. But I'm gonna give you my playoff picture. I have the Giants. I have the Lions. I have San Fran. I have Atlanta. I have Carolina, and I have the Redskins.
So you do have faith in the Carolinas.
Yes, he's only getting stronger. The quarterback is only getting stronger. He's only getting better, and he proven himself, unlike Tim Tebow, that he can transition from college, from a player with the skill, the athleticism, and the accuracy to perform on an NFL stage. Steve Smith led in receiving yards last year, and who was his quarterback? Cam Newton.
Oh, you heard the guy right there. I see Giants, I see Cowboys. I still think Cowboys going to make a comeback this year. They're going to be a very, very tough team to be reckoned with. I think Philadelphia is going to be hanging in there. I don't be surprised if Philly did be the third person in the East to actually capture the last wild card. But it all depends on how much their offense is. A lot of people is having mixed feelings with Vic for reasons I do not know. But that's just my feeling. I think the East is going to be the toughest division to win out, period. They has been for the last couple of years. It is a division that you can win 10 games probably and still not guaranteed to make the playoffs. That's how strong that division is. You said that Washington also going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think that I got to see how they make the hurdle. If I see in the first half they win 7 games and with 4 games left to play, then yeah, I can see them possibly surprising me. But I still think it's going to be a 3-legged race between the Giants, Cowboys, and Phillies. Now, as for the North, not much confidence in the North other than what you have said. I do believe Detroit is strong enough to pretty much take it to the next level. I do consider them to be a very strong threat, not only to the East, but throughout the whole entire NFC. I don't see nobody else going out of Chicago, so I do outside of the North. So I do think Detroit will take it. As for the South, I don't know about Carolina yet. I really don't. I don't know if Carolina is going to be that strong enough. I do know they're young, but do they have enough experience? Do they have enough power? Do they have enough balance to actually overtake the other top dogs in the league? That's going to be remain to be seen. If anything else, I say they'll pretty much be, if they are going to be contention, I think they're going to have to win anything beyond the 10 games mark. 10 games is not going to really cut it in a very strong division. I do believe that Tampa is going to play a very big role. They may not have enough to make the playoffs, but they are all going to be a force to be reckoned with, and I think they better not fall asleep on Tampa just yet. South, the South, hold on, the South is pretty much something that I'm going to keep a watchful eye on because it's something I can't really predict who's going to be out the playoffs. If I got to make a safe bet, and this is only a safe bet for me, I will say that under the circumstances of how the division is right now, I say Carolina, but they have to take the weakest schedule in their lineup to their advantage. If they struggle in the first half, leading to the second half, forget about it. They're going to have a problem right straight down the line, and I say anybody can be anybody. As for the West, I have confidence in San Francisco. I think they're going to really, really surprise a lot of people. A lot of people thought that this was a one-year wonder to the team. I think they're going to prove a lot of people wrong. I think they're going to be in contention throughout the year. As for everybody else in that division, sorry, that is the weakest division. I have no confidence in Arizona. I have no confidence in Atlanta. So therefore, I'm just gonna say it's gonna be pretty much San Francisco right straight down to the beginning to end, and that's how I feel. Now for a wild card, I already said it's gonna be pretty much a three-legged race. I do expect the first wild card to go to the East. Uh, the West, anybody else, is going to be very, very tough to call. I don't see anybody from the West. I think if you want to, put a gun in my head, if Drew Brees can keep this team together, despite all the problems, I can see them grab the wild card despite all their differences. But they're gonna have to keep the team together. They're gonna have to take each game like as business as usual, and really, really brush what just happened off season off their mind and really compete. They do have the tools to do it. They do have the players to do it. Can they do it without their coach? That's the question. And that's where I'm gonna leave it at that. So I do give them the wild card, but it's a very, very tough wild card. I do believe it's going to be either that one extra time wild card coming from either the North or the South. I don't see nobody making it from the West. The West is pretty much you have to win the division or else. Now I'm going to go with the AFC. New England, no question about that. Pittsburgh, no question. I think they're going to definitely be there, and I actually think of them as a Super Bowl contender. As for the South, very interesting. I'm keeping an eye on a lot of teams, especially Jacksonville. I've been keeping an eye on Tennessee. I'm keeping an eye on a lot of teams from there. I'm going to take a gamble and say Tennessee. For some reason, I think Tennessee is going to shock me. As for your feeling on Denver, not confident yet. I think they're going to be a wild card, if anything else, but I think that San Diego is definitely going to take that division. It's going to be a very weak division. I'm sorry to say it. It's going to be a very weak division. I don't be surprised if both of them finish with a record of no greater than 9-7. I don't have confidence in Kansas City, and don't even talk to me about Oakland. I do believe it's going to be a pretty much a far-out brawl for the wild card. As for the Jets making the wild card, I don't see it. In my eyes, they have to win 10 games, and I don't see them as a 10-game team a team that's capable of winning 10 games. And 9-7, in my eyes, will not get them to get the wild card. I do believe that Cincinnati may actually get it, get one of them. And it's going to be pretty much an all-out brawl for that last wild card between Denver and the South. But as far as the Jets concerned, even though I'm a Jets fan, I'm being realistic here. I see them being no greater than 9-7. If they have any chances of going to the playoffs, they must be a 10-win team. And I don't see it. I'm sorry. I don't see it, not yet. And they may prove me wrong. Maybe they've got their act together and do it. So that's just my opinion. I don't see them as a playoff team. I'm sorry. But maybe they prove me wrong. They have proved me wrong in the past. But right now, I definitely don't see them. They're definitely not better than New England in terms of how they coaching and in terms of how they play is. They're definitely not better than Denver, that's for sure, and they're definitely not better than Cincinnati. So with that being added to that, they're going to have to prove to me that they have learned their lesson from last year. If they learn their lesson from last year and play without having to get into any stupidity conference and talking trash mouth, my feeling is you want to impress me, don't talk trash, go on the field and play football the way football is supposed to be played. And then when I see that you guys have actually learned that, then I can able to have more confidence. But for now, I see them no greater than 9-7, and in that division, with those teams right now being hungry the way they are, I just don't see it happening. So that's my picks for that. That's my prediction. It's going to stick by from the end.
I feel like the Jets won't win 7 this year. I feel like the team they were last year was better than the team they are this year. I don't feel like they went and picked up any defensive pieces, which would have helped Sanchez a lot. Instead, they went and picked up Tim Tebow, and he's not the difference maker. He wasn't the difference maker in Denver. He's not clearly going to be the difference maker in New York. Now, I believe Tennessee has the chance. I believe Tennessee plays team football. Not only do they play team football, they're a good football team with a good coach. I like Denver. I like Denver a lot. I believe last year Denver's defense got them into the playoffs. This year they have an offensive weapon that sits behind the snap. Of course the Steelers, Pittsburgh. I feel like if Pittsburgh could get into the second round, they're Super Bowl contenders. But there's a trick to that. Nothing can fall apart with Pittsburgh during the regular season. They have to play 100% Steelers football. If not, I think they might slide out of the playoffs. There's a possibility in the AFC that the Steelers might slide out of the playoffs because there's so much to expect and there's so much uncertainty with the teams and the players and this year's draft picks that you don't know what to expect. And with the Steelers team, especially losing one of their greats in Hines Ward, who retired, and having to replace a weapon, someone that you knew at the end of the game when things got tough, I can go to him. He was going to catch the ball across the middle. He was going to lay out. He was going to sacrifice his body. Now, that was an intricate role right there, and that was a big part of Steelers football. That's not easy to replace. You asking someone to come in, fill in big shoes, and when things ain't going right, them shoes will not just be met this year. And I feel like if they get into any bumps, they might not make the playoffs. I feel like the other teams is hungry. I feel like the Steelers is a veteran team. A veteran team that has to play 4 quarters of football, and if they collapse in 1 quarter, that's the end of their game, especially against Tom Brady. I think that the Chargers won't make the playoffs. I have the Ravens going into the playoffs. I got Denver, Pittsburgh without any collapses. I got Pittsburgh, Denver, New England, the Titans, the Ravens, Baltimore, and to throw my 6th pick in there. That's a tough one. That's really a tough one. The AFC to me this year is not gonna be the face of the NFL. So I could say the Raiders.
Really?
I can say the Raiders. If the run game is there, they can win games. I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl, but if McFadden, if the run game is there, they can win football games. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to defense. And like I seen them last year, even though they struggled as a young team, we in a whole new season. And the Giants it's a good thing that the Giants win the Super Bowl and did what they did, because they show you that it's not about record all the time. It's about what you have to prove at this moment. And this is a new year. And at this moment, I feel the Raiders have something to prove. They need to get back to the Raiders football.
Well, hopefully that may happen. And once again, we passed the hour mark without even realizing it. So that's pretty much it for this week in entertainment roundup. This has pretty much been a very interesting special with a little bit of football talk.
About the Colts.
Nobody talked about the Colts here, so I mean, but I wouldn't count them out just yet. But until then, guys, it's been a very much fun entertainment roundup. We split up into two parts, even though again didn't really expect to go past the 1 hour mark. But after the football thing, oh hell, that's the free for all. That was basically it. I'm looking forward for the NFL. I can't wait. Pretty much, it's like a holiday tradition. You sit down and watch nothing but football on Sunday and just be entertained. And I really became more and more a fan, especially during when the early '90s hit, when I got introduced by accident to the Jets. I became a Jets fan ever since. So I'm gonna root for the team. I don't have much confidence doing anything, but I will continue to root for the team. And just enjoy football in general. This is gonna be a fun year. But pretty much that's just all I have to say about the entertainment roundup. As always, with probably the exception of what we're talking about the football, I'll leave that, guys, for you guys to address your own feelings on the NFL. Give me your picks on the comment section below. Have fun with that. You don't have to agree with any of us in terms of what we have said. These are your picks, your opinion, your feelings. Put it out there. I'd love to hear from you guys. Let's have fun. It's football season now. There's not going to be no article, but if you insist, I will leave a couple links to ESPN, so you guys can look up some of the stuff if you want to have further information on the NFL. I don't do NFL picks in terms of who's going to win this week. That's just not my thing. But I will be watching the football game. And give my reports pretty much from time to time on the entertainment roundup, if not an individual video, especially if it's going to affect the football world in a major way. But in terms of that, that's as far as I'm going to go on the matter. So I will be keeping tabs on the football games, whether by television, radio, or on the net. So that's just basically what that is going to be about. But in general, in terms of Entertainment Weekly, it's going to be still mixed up with that. It's going to come back on a pretty much regular basis. And until then, this is J77 saying everyone take care and please be safe.